All right, welcome to day number 23. Now, today is going to be kind of an interesting day, a little bit different than some of the other days. Let's see. So we all have the we all have the Endeavor Elements badge, which is what? The bottom one is shape potential, middle one form agendas, and the top one create effects. All right? So if you know those three and you have a basic understanding of what it means to shape potential, form agendas, and create effects, then you get the Endeavor Elements badge. The second badge is State Progress. So, State Progress, there's 9 themes. There are 3 themes in each of those 3 levels that we just talked about. So, if you have gone through the videos about State Progress, then you get the State Progress badge. And then number 3, we went through state synergies. All right, so spotting opportunities for cooperation. We saw how that is kind of related to reuses because obviously the best part about relationships is that you can continue to grow skills, you can continue to grow closer, and you can continue to reach successes. We went through a bunch of different examples. And then yesterday, we just took a little pause with like before we go on to the next checklist. I just wanted to make a video saying, hey guys, like, what are your endeavors? Like, take some time, write down your endeavors, think about, like, what is it that you want to accomplish? What do you have the potential to shape? What kind of things can you form agendas around and make some plans to achieve? What are the changes that you want to see in this world? What are the things that you can affect? Now, today, let's talk about creating insight. All right, so this is probably like the most central idea to the book, Create Crucial Insight. All right, so if we remove the word crucial, because it's I guess crucial just means like really, really important, perhaps so important that if you don't have this insight, then you are going to have a problem. You might not succeed. You might not reach the uh, the outcome that you're trying to reach. You might not develop the reuses which you'd like to develop. So they are crucial. Now, what is the insight? The insight is this thing, right? So, what is insight? So, one thing that you could do, so let's look at our actions. Okay, so what are the things that you've done? When I look at my road, my path for learning these checklists and how they have influenced my behavior, I'd have to say that during the early times when learning about these checklists, they didn't automatically make my actions improve right away. I think if I had a coach, if I had somebody that was working with me hand in hand every day, or like frequently, and kind of could hold my hand and kind of pulled me along, maybe that would have helped. And that's the kind of the service that I'm trying to offer, is to say, hey guys, I want to be on your team and I want to pull you along, push you, motivate you, stimulate you, give you some ideas, give you some framework so you can achieve better results. Maybe that's not for everyone. Maybe that wasn't for me. I don't know. I had to grow very slowly. And now, as you can see, look at the actions. I've been making videos every single day for 23 days. We got so many days left. This is insane. All right. So look at some historical examples of your actions. What have you been doing? And then ask yourself some questions. All right, so as you've performed actions, as your team has been performing actions, are there things which have been overlooked? Are there things which have been routinely overlooked? All right, so when you're talking about overlook, is there some kind of like, what's the word for it? Guide interactions. Are there like certain types of interactions within your firm that are being overlooked? Is there some problem with your interactions? Are there some resources that are being overlooked? Is there some part of your plan which like is missing are there some assumptions which are not correct? So like if something's being overlooked, it means that you are not achieving the outcomes that you want to achieve. Look at some historical examples of your actions. Is there something being overlooked? Is the plan thorough and consistent? Like, do you have a plan? Is there a plan? You know, is it thorough and consistent? All right. So have you see that sometimes it's like I don't want to make a plan. Like just go with the flow. Yeah, okay, cool, go with the flow. But at some point, maybe there is a benefit with creating a thorough plan. And then it's like, well, I don't really know how to make a plan. All right, well, the idea of creating insight, it means to overlay all these different checklists. All right, so like if you have a map, like go to Google Maps and you can look at like like not street view, but you can look at the map that only contains like streets and buildings and like squares and lines. And then you can layer another like type of map over top of that, like terrain, and it like shows different types of terrain. Then you can overlay another type of map over top of that. And the thing is, like the more you overlay, so if you're actually trying to traverse a certain amount of land. You're trying to get from A to B. And you're able to line up to layer these different maps on top of the map. And you can see more and more things. Eventually, you're going to realize that, oh, there's only like one or two like real ways, like safe, fast, efficient. There's two like the best ways. Maybe there's only two possible ways. And so like the idea of creating insight, like turning on this light, it's like, you know, it's like you need to like layer on these different types of paradigms, create new paradigms, new points of view. When they say think outside the box, it's like, well, how am I supposed to think outside the box? Like, how do I think outside of my own head? And that's what these checklists do. It gives you the opportunity to look at things from a scientific perspective, taking out the themes of some ideas and overlaying them so that you can create a what? A thorough and consistent plan. Can you articulate the value? All right, so like I don't know, can I articulate the value? Have I really thought about it? Is there a way I can think about it? Can I create the insight so that I can articulate value? Do you see how to communicate and cooperate? All right, so do you understand? Do you have this plan of cooperation? Are there problems within your company about cooperation? Are there problems related to communication? Are the people issues? Are the infrastructure issues? Is there a way to develop the insight so that you can get better outcomes? What are you doing? All right, so what are your actions? What are the actions that you're using now to cooperate and to communicate? How do you organize communication? All right, so when you send an email, when you deliver a company, what do they call those things? Memo. Remember this word memo? When you write a memo, I don't think people use that word anymore. When you write a memo, like what's the organization of that communication? When you write a proposal, when you're like trying to reach out to clients, like how do you organize your thoughts? How are business activities performed? All right, so this is like going back to like I mean a lot of these questions are kind of the same, it's just looking at it from different perspectives. So you have your everyday business activities. How do you perform them? Are there ways to do them better? Is there somebody who's competing against you? And if you do not improve your methods, they will run you over. How do you do you have a robust set of alternative courses of actions? Right? So this is an interesting one, right? So like you go into like the world and we ran into this thing called COVID-19. The world's on shutdown. And all of a sudden the tech companies, their stocks boom. And the people who are like, whoa, like I've been waiting for my customers to walk through the door. I don't have the internet. Those people died. Now what? All right. So where are we going now? And then now there's like all these different levels, layers of like economic problems. Like there could be this, there could be that. There's like a lot of opportunity for error in the economic system. So there's also like a lot of there's possibility of uprising. There's possibility of dispute. There are problems on all levels of society and money and relationships and business. There's like this whole thing seems to be falling apart. Now, I'm not saying it's going to fall apart. I'm just saying, do you have an alternative course of action? Do you have more thoughts? Do you have a side project on the way? Are you spending a little bit more time to make sure that you're competitive so that if things go south, you're ready and you can handle it? Now, there's this thing in Dr. Buchholz's book, Create Crucial Insight. He's got this chapter called Create Insight, and he's got like this little thing, like it's like a table, all right? And then inside of his table, he says, all right, so see, this is what I was talking about yesterday. He's got all these boxes. He's got this box that says endeavor, and it's an empty box. So you got this empty box. You write down your endeavor. And then you take your endeavor and you split it up into aspects of the endeavor. And then you start to like discuss, like, all right, so now we need to analyze or perform some of these actions. All right, so what are your plans? Here it is. So what are your plans and actions to analyze aspects? So as you start to analyze the aspects of your endeavor, so like maybe you can start to look at some questions about these different aspects. You can look at some of the issues of some of these aspects. You can look at some of the problems or opportunities related to your endeavor, or the activities within the endeavor. Like, what does it mean? So like, all right, so I've mentioned in the past, I have this plan of developing this business. So I have like 4 basic activities. And one of the activities I'm doing is I'm starting to create a form, like an electronic app, so that people can use these checklists without, like, they can do it autonomously. They can do it on their own. And so one thing I did was, like, I'm trying to figure out how to not just create the app, but like there's like a sequence of words that people have to follow in order to be able to do this. And so the way I'm doing a study right now where I have the questions for the state progress checklist. It's in a questionnaire. And I've been giving it to about 2 or 3 people a week. And I've been getting 2 or 3 responses a week with this checklist. And there's nobody that's doing it even close to like understanding what to do with these checklists. And so now it's like, all right, so I need to start to analyze the aspects, like, okay, of this app. One of the aspects is the wording of the state progress checklist. All right, so step number 2, plans and actions to perform aspects. All right, so like this is the thing. So I'm getting people to fill out the questionnaire, and I'm reading the words, the things that they've written down, and then I interview them, and I go through the same checklist with them, and I'm finding that I'm getting completely different responses when I do it again with them compared to the words that are trying to prompt them. Like, it's never the same result. And the thing is, like, I need them to be able to get the same result that they get with me by going through the state progress checklist on their own. And what's the wording behind that? Or how can I change this experience for them, in this questionnaire? Like, do I need some videos? Do I need, like, how do I create the prompts so that they can do it more successfully? So then the next box is like the checklist. All right, so it says select relevant direct outcomes checklists, or use people's repertoire of skills and methods, or use endeavor-specific judgment. All right, so the whole point right now is like to create insight. So I need to pick a checklist and use that checklist to influence the way that I am delivering this questionnaire. And then after I've used the checklist, hopefully it's going to create some kind of insight. And that insight is then going to allow me to change the checklist in some way, or change my questionnaire in some way, so that people are able to respond to the questionnaire and get the same types of outcomes as the outcomes they're getting when they speak to me directly. So when they talk to me, they get a very clear, like, they know exactly what the reuses are going to be, and I'm able to help them to talk through that process. And they're very clear about what the outcomes are going to be. It's very easy to get through that process when I'm there. We talk about some scenarios, and then we talk about the data, the information that informs those scenarios. And then eventually we're able to choose some plans. And then we kind of like look at their interactions. We look at their motivations. We talk about their resources. And then we see if that is going to influence those scenarios at all or more. And like eventually we sit down and we have a plan, and then they start to perform the action. All right, so then like it says here, so like the last step, so the checklist that we're using, when I use it's the state progress checklist that I use with them. Now, of course, there's going to be other checklists which we use in the future, which will also start to improve their plan. And they will influence the scenarios. They will change some of the assumptions that they have. And then the last box is insight and other results. All right, so what is the insight? The question is, what will be the insight that's gained by me by applying one of these checklists or a couple of these checklists to the process of me writing this questionnaire? So that's the whole thing about creating insight. So today's video is just like, how do you create insight? The insight is, okay, well, I have a problem, I have a serious problem. I'm not getting the responses that I want on this questionnaire. It's very different from the way I facilitate the experience in real life. I'm not getting, the guys that are doing it are not able to get the insight. They're not getting through the process. And so now I need to go back and select some of these checklists, apply them to this questionnaire, this giving people a questionnaire experience, and see if I can alter the questionnaire in some way so I can get better responses. All right, and that's the whole point. So, wait, there we go. So, yeah, I hope to help you either face-to-face or through my future application, through these videos, or order the book to apply some of these checklists, and so that when you're performing your actions, you can get better outcomes. And that's all based on the insight, which helps you to get a better plan. You are watching Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates.